Hello and welcome to Room 1009. Joining us today from Buenos Aires, via New Jersey, is Marcelo Sonaglione. Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, Bob, ¿cómo estás? Well, for a start, let me congratulate you for your Spanish, and you're actually better at saying my last name. I mean, you're doing it better than I do, so that deserves a big congratulations for you, yeah.
Well, if I've impressed you with my very limited Spanish, I am impressed and honoured myself.
No.
I'm doing a little bit of the Mick Jagger thing. You know how he always in his shows likes to speak a few words and sound like the locals. Usually he sounds terrible.
Because he's got the teleprompter there. You're
Yeah.
without the teleprompter, so you're scoring big points.
Muchas gracias.
De nada. Okay. And yeah, I'm here in New Jersey visiting dear friends. You know, I'm staying at my dear friend Mary Ellen and, you know, her daughters, having a great time here. And some beautiful weather today. We had lots of snow in the last few days, so that took me to do a lot of shoveling, which is lots of fun for me because, you know, I never get the snow in Buenos Aires. Yeah.
You have to earn your rent.
Yeah, I'm earning my rent, believe me.
Good man.
Yeah.
Marcelo.
Good to be here. Good to be anywhere. Like Keith
Good to
said.
be here. Good to be anywhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what, Marcelo? You are a well-known member of the Rolling Stones fan community. In fact, many of our viewers might know you from at least one of these things that you do or have done. So let me just read them out. These are the things I know about. Maybe you're going to tell me other things that you do as well.
Okay, good. Yeah.
There was a Facebook page called Stones Data. I know it's gone. We're going to talk about that shortly, but there's a new one, which is called Life and Times of the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that as well. You have a YouTube channel, which is called at Rolling Stones Data. You've got a website, also called rollingstonesdata.com. And I think you're on Twitter or X.
Yeah, and there is an Instagram account too. All that, you know.
You are everywhere. Do you know what? I think that makes you the unofficial newswire for the Rolling Stones, what some people might call as somebody in the know.
Well, thanks for that.
You're a good source.
You're
a good source of information, Marcelo.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, well, you know, there's more important people than me. I mean, you know, that's mainly where I got their info from. You know, people like, you know, our common friend Martin Elliott in England. Hello, Martin. And, you know, you should check out, of course, because from Germany, is the Complete Works database, which is like the main thing concerning data through the years. Yeah, but you got the story right. It all started with a Facebook page, which was Rolling Stones Data, and it's been going on for about 12, 13 years and about 135,000 followers. That means a lot of interaction. And all of a sudden, it's dead because Facebook or some Facebook algorithm considered I was impersonating the band. So that was the case. Impersonation. So it was gone after 2 years, and I must have contacted Facebook not less than 40 times. I'm not exaggerating that, and never to get a reply back. So that's when I started the Life and Times page, and yeah, and then there is the Instagram account and the Twitter account and the YouTube channel, but the main thing is a website, is the rollingstonesdata.com, which, by the way, I would advise anybody, if they have a chance to be master of their domains, to run their own website, because that belongs to you and nobody else. And you don't totally own all these, you know, social media things. Nobody of us do. So we should consider that. Yes, it takes a lot of hard work. It's not, you know, a full-time job, but maybe 3 or 4 times a day. Mostly when it's the kind of thing I do, which is like updating it daily because there is a chronology thing. So it's always a work in progress. Yeah, that's the thing.
Well, let's talk about this Facebook thing a minute, because Mark Zuckerberg, I'm sure, is watching the show.
Yeah.
And let me just take a closer look. Who are you impersonating? Is it an unbearded Chuck Leval, maybe. It's a weird one, but look, what the fuck happened, Marcelo? Because overnight, they just killed the show, killed your channel.
Yeah.
135,000 followers just gone.
Yeah.
No warning. They didn't say, "Hey, we got some concerns about your thing here. Can you take these actions and everything will be okay?" There was none of that. They just killed you. It's criminal.
Yeah. This is like capital crime without a warning. So,
Yeah.
fine. Oh, how funny. Yeah. So, I just it gave me a big headache at the time. Then I realized it wasn't worth the time, worrying about that anymore because it doesn't depend on me. And once again, they wouldn't give you an explanation. And of course, it was always the same name, the same activity, the same thing, nothing like that. And then, I was looking for information concerning that thing, and I wasn't the only one. Yeah, that's the current one.
This is the new one.
Yeah, thanks for that, Bob. And I wasn't the first one going to things like this. Mostly of the so-called fan pages went through the same thing. So I don't know. Fingers crossed. I can never recover it again in the future. I'm not being very hopeful concerning this, but anyway, yeah.
How is this site different to the old one? Is it the same thing, or have you made some changes?
It's just the same thing, but the only thing is that there's only 25,000 followers or so. I used to have about, once again, 135,000 in the previous one.
Well done for trying again.
Thank you.
That must have been a nasty shock, though.
Yeah, it was.
Terrible.
Yeah, it was. It was because you feel just, there's nothing you can do about it. It's like, okay, what am I supposed to do next? Pray? I don't pray. All right.
Well, we're very grateful to what you do, and it's a
you.
labor of love because I understand you spend hours every day updating these sites. I thought maybe you've got people who help you, but it's all you, isn't it?
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes.
Well, great job. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but everybody's welcome, to visit the Rolling Stones Datacom page and, every time. So, and then you'll find all the links to the YouTube channel and the Instagram and whatever's there right there. And, but I still love to do it every day. Sometimes you're really tired. Once again, it's not a full-time job, but, people who are keeping their website, no matter what they do, would probably say the same. It's some work, and sometimes you're really tired. I say, oh, I still have to update the page today because you just don't feel good letting one day pass by and do it all over again next day. So once again, it's a work in progress. No matter how old it is, in this case, it's about 12, 13 years, you still do it every day. So welcome, everybody. Yeah.
It's your daily ritual, like a prayer.
Yeah, all that. Yeah.
Marcelo, it's good to finally meet you. We've never met before, but I've always been aware of this mysterious Argentinian guy. I get most of my news on IORR, for example.
Yeah.
And, there's always this Argentinian guy who knows something, who can tell. He's a good source of information, what's going to happen this year. Or is a rumor true about a show, for example? So it's you. It's great to meet you.
Thank you. Actually, here's the thing. I don't have much time to get into It's Only Rock and Roll because I love the site, and of course, it's been there first than anybody else. And of course, I know Bjornov, but there is so much interaction there. And once again, because of what I do, time is really scarce. So whenever I have a chance, I do, and I'm checking out other websites too, of course. But my thing is mainly about, okay, I love shows, of course, and all that. But what's number one for me is, music and history. Of course, I'm interested in shows and traveling, and I did a lot of that. But music, life and times of the Rolling Stones. That's what always comes first. So, and there's so much after all these years. I mean, it's been over 60 years of almost constant activity. And that takes time too, yeah. And of course, sometimes, the information is updated again. It went like this, but now it changed to this. And there's more coming all the time. The more you dig in, the more's coming. It's like it's pumping all the time. Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot, right?
Yeah.
Since you are a man of knowledge,
Thanks. I hope so.
what's going to happen in 2026 for the Rolling Stones? Right. We know a
Well,
European tour, not going to happen. We do expect a new album.
yeah.
What do you think?
I read about that. There's always this big speculation because, like, pretty much nowadays, anybody, I mean, anybody, no, but feelings can say anything, and that little rumor turns into a big thing. So I don't know. But as for me, and I must say this, it was all over after Charlie's death. Maybe some people won't get it, but I knew that day would come. Like I was wondering and asking myself, "Wow, what about that day that we get the news on one of them?" And that day finally happened. And I remember that day, August the 24th, 2021. It's gonna be 5 years now, this year. And I got this email from this friend of mine in England, in London, and he says, "Oh, do you think they should say thanks and goodbye, or thanks and good night?" I said, "Well, that's what they're going to say because, like, they've been spending all their lives, mostly kids, saying whenever Charlie goes, or if Charlie's not there, this is not the Rolling Stones." So I can't picture any Rolling Stones without Charlie, and it would be the same without Keith or Mick. And so, yeah, that news really struck me because it wasn't just the death of lovely Charlie, who I always loved so much, but once again, this is like it's a formula. It's a chemical formula. This is like I don't know, Coca-Cola. One of the main ingredients is not there. It's not Coca-Cola anymore. I guess maybe a change of name would have meant a lot at the time. I don't know if you know this English musician, Nicky Sudden. I'm a big fan of Nicky's. He passed a few years ago, and he used to be a great fan of the Stones. I remember whenever he was asked, "How much do you like the Stones? How is it that you like the Stones so much?" And he would always say, "Well, because they never let me down." And I always agreed with him. They never let me down. And I got kind of pretty much let down at the time because a friend would say to me, "Well, they're going on tour again after Charlie's passing, and they've been canceling all the shows because of the pandemic. Fans have been waiting for this, and then they need to pay homage to Charlie." And I said, "Okay, yeah, maybe you're right. It would be hard, but yeah, whatever." But then they went on and on and on again, and then I started feeling really let down by them. I've got to be honest, this is the band of my life. These guys have provided the soundtrack of my life, and nothing's perfect. Not enough with that. We got that album, Yeah,
Hackney Diamonds?
I prefer to call it Hype Knee Diamonds. Yeah,
Hype Knee Time.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
If you know what I mean.
But there was a lot of hype, but hey, it was the first studio album for how long was it? 18 years, I think, since A Bigger
18
Bang.
years, that's almost a third of their career, Bob.
If you don't include Blue and Lonesome,
Yeah,
which was a studio album, but not their original stuff, of course.
that should have been their last album. Coming full circle with such a great album. But so this is not the Stones, just because it says the Rolling Stones on the cover. well, you can't judge a book by looking at the cover, and it's the same thing. Just because it reads the Rolling Stones on the cover doesn't mean it's the Rolling Stones. It's more like a Mick solo album, kind of Goddess in the Doorway Part 2, because now it sounds like his band. He got away with that. And I just can't stand it. Sounds like, I gotta be honest again, okay? A thing like Angry is probably the worst thing they ever did. Sounds like a, I don't know, toothpaste commercial. What about that fade out thing? Angry. Oh, come on. And it goes worse.
I didn't like it when it came out. I mean, maybe after a year I thought, okay, it's not too bad. But I hated it when it first came out.
Yeah.
Everyone was going mad, nuts, saying, wow, fucking hell, it's, the best Rolling Stones song ever. And it was like, I don't hear that.
Yeah.
I hear a song that's okay, but I think there are better songs on the album.
Well,
I don't think it's the worst album they've ever done, by the way.
yeah, it is. And they got it's a serious step back. And you say, well, not at this point of your career, not after Charlie's death. And it was totally unnecessary. Then you have songs like, which one is that? Whole Wide World. Of course, they are very catchy and they are very good for airplay and all that. But this is like, Billy Idol. It's a Billy Idol thing. Yeah.
What's wrong with Billy Idol?
Yeah. Okay. He's all right. But this sounds like Billy Idol. I mean, who's that playing guitar? It's Steven Stevens from the Billy Idol band. And of course, I love the Kiss song. Tell Me Straight. That's a great song. It doesn't sound like Hackney Diamonds at all. But I don't know. I can play the album, and you say, well, what can I do about it? Well, so this is my opinion. I don't mean anybody to agree with me. I know some people agreed with my opinion. I'm not converting any people into my way of thinking. It's not the way I see it. It's the way I feel it.
But you do raise a very good point, actually, and it makes me think it's a question I should ask more of my guests. Where do they sit on the current situation of the Rolling Stones continuing to play without Charlie Watts? Because as you say, Keith always said, once he's gone, that's it, they're done. But hey, what I want to say is the Rolling Stones lineup has changed a lot over the years. Charlie wasn't the original drummer. Obviously, he was the drummer for a huge amount of time, but we also, over the years, Brian Jones, we lost him. Mick Taylor left the band. Bill left the band. Ian Stewart obviously was kicked out in a way, and then he sadly died. So there've been a lot of changes over the years, and I think for some fans that's made it easier to accept the current version of the Rolling Stones.
But here's the thing, Brian, either he left the band or he got the sack and then he passed.
Well, he got sacked, you're right. He was sacked first.
He was, okay, so by the time this happened, he wasn't there. Anyway, we cannot compare a career which has been going on for 5-6 years to 60 years, because the whole formula, the sound of the Rolling Stones kind of begins in 69. This is mixed voice plus Keith guitar plus Charlie's drum. And Charlie's was the heartbeat. Tell me about anything that's still alive without the heartbeat. Nothing like that.
I know you do not mean anything bad about Steve Jordan at all.
No, please. Let
me just defend him as well. I saw the Stones 5 times in 2022.
All right.
On the 60 tour.
Yeah.
And I thought they were great. They were strong. I thought Steve's drum playing just gave them a little bit of an extra lift. I remember, what was the song they played in Madrid? It was the first time they ever played it.
Of course.
Out of Time. And I was so impressed with Steve Jordan on that song because I don't know if you've seen videos of it on YouTube. The song finishes.
Yeah.
Keith and Ronnie are taking off their guitars. Mick is still out on the runway doing his thing, interacting with the crowd. And Mick's very good at picking up what the crowd vibe is. And he went with it. And I think he either signaled back to the band or to Steve, or he continued the chorus. Steve Jordan was on it straight away. Boom. He got the beat going. And then I could see, Keith and Ronnie racing to get their guitars back.
Yeah.
And it carried on. So we got that bonus section on the first show, and then they repeated that on the other shows.
Yeah.
So I think that was impromptu. And I give full credit to Steve Jordan for being boom straight on it. But I thought his playing is excellent, and it's given the band Charlie, of course, gave him his blessing. We know that story, and it doesn't feel illegitimate to me. It feels like this is where we are now.
This is not about Steve Jordan. He's a great drummer, great gentleman, by the way. I happened to meet him a couple of times, as far as back as 92, when he was in Buenos Aires for the kickoff date of Kiss Main Offender tour. Great guy. But they could have gotten, Buddy Rich for this, meets John Bonham, anybody. It's not about that. This is no Charlie. This is no Charlie. And it would have been the same without Keith or without Mick. Because that's what makes the formula. That's what makes the formula. They still sound great, even if they, they recorded, Charlie drumming with a drum machine with there. He's not there. So that's how I feel it. So what's next now? A hologram thing? I don't care. So sorry to say this, but once again, it really broke my heart. And then we had that Hypney Diamonds, and I could use another 4-letter word. I'm not using it now. I'm going to tell you about it in private. Instead of hype, that's another 4-letter word. So what's next now? It's like anything can happen. So I don't know. That's how it goes for me. I have no expectations about that album that's coming up next, but I'm trying to be surprised. And then, all these little appearances by guests in Hypney, the other one, Diamonds, that didn't mean that much, just because Paul McCartney is doing this strange thing on the bass and Bill Wyman. Okay, that's one song I really liked, the one with Bill Wyman on it. That sounds a bit like It's Only Rock and Roll Part 2, but it's so made up and so forced, and it's not going like that. Maybe I shouldn't explain it this long, but it really hurts. It really hurts. And once again, I got let down by them. And if I had a chance to say this to their faces, if I have a chance to talk to them, and they, do you like the album? I said, no, sorry, you let me down. So that's how it goes for me. But yeah, of course, we have a background of 60 plus years of great music that will always be there, and that's what counts. Yeah.
Marcelo, that was an amazing discussion.
Thank you.
I'm going to talk about this more with future guests. Thank you for raising that point.
You're very welcome.
I also want to talk more about some of your other sites, some of your work a little bit later in the show. But for now, we've got 3 songs to play.
Yeah.
You have chosen 3 songs that have never appeared on Room 1009. And when I asked you for them, there was no hesitation. Was it easy for you to pick them?
Very easy. Because I had to make it up. That's the thing. That's how easy as it went. I mean, it's just impossible for me to pick up 3 songs out of their huge catalog. You could have asked me for 10 albums. I would have been as harsh as 3 songs. But this time I made sure to pick up 3 songs which are really kind of obscure. They remain a bit underrated after all this time. But once again, I love them so much. But okay, you're gonna tell us which is the first one I picked, but it could have been at the time, like things like Heart of Stone, because that's the thing, that's the song that really hooked me, got me hooked on the Stones at the time when I discovered them.
Well, according to your own Stones Data website, your first song, which is Who's Driving Your Plane,
Right.
is a forgotten B-side with a wild edge.
Yeah.
Marcelo, why did you choose this song and what does it mean to you?
Oh, because it's so great. I love that era. This will be the Between the Buttons sessions, RCA Studios in Los Angeles, 66. This is the only bluesy song that came out of those sessions because I'm a big blues fan, And people never talk about Who's Driving Your Plane. I mean, it's a great piano playing. By the way, that's by guest Jack Nietzsche on piano. And this was originally the B-side of the Have You Seen Your Mother Baby Standing in the Shadows single. I call it Psych Blues. And I guess probably by the time they recorded this song, they might have been listening to the new Bob Dylan album at the time, which was The Great Blonde on Blonde. It's a two double LP, and it had a song called Leopard Skin Pillbox Hat, which kind of sounds like Who's Driving Your Plane. Actually, the other way around, because Bob's song came out first. And then, like people never talk about this song. The first time I listened to this song, I was still a kid, and I got this album called, it's a Decca UK compilation album called No Stone Unturned. Okay, that's the one that featured the song. And as far as I remember, back in '89, we got the singles collection box set. It came in as vinyl and even cassette tape collection, and it was included there. But it's one of my favorite songs. Like I've been praying all my life for them to do a version of that song and so many others, but never happened. I don't think it will ever happen again.
Who's Driving Your Plane? Let's listen to this and we'll talk about it a little more after the song.
Let's enjoy it, yeah.
Oh, Marcelo, isn't that so good?
Love it. Oh, that piano kills me. You can tell Mick sings a big like Bob Dylan there, and there's a little echo, an echo camera, in his voice when he's singing. So it's very. Once again, this is what I call psych blues. Is really kind of psychedelic blues. A way to put it. Yeah.
Who's driving your plane? It's a put down song. He's speaking badly about somebody, I think. Do we know who that person is? Who's he talking about? Who's he singing about?
I don't know. I think that that question, who's driving your plane, could mean so many things. Like, what's your take on that?
Feels like he's accusing somebody of not being in control of their own life. Someone else is telling them what to do, pulling the strings. I just want to know, who's he talking about?
Yeah, he's talking about girls again. Like it was your father who bring you and your mother who trained you to be so useless and shy. So yeah, that's another classical Mick thing of what they call at the time put down girls songs or whatever. But I love the song. Oh yeah, that's why I pick it up.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
we don't listen to songs like that enough on this show, and I think it's the first time, not obviously first time played, but I don't think anyone's even mentioned it on the show.
Yeah.
So
yeah. They have all these obscure songs. I mean, all these B-sides and obscure songs. They are so good as the hits and the war horses and all that. So,
well, you could have missed this one, right? Because I don't think, I mean, okay, it was a B-side, as you said, for Have You Seen Your Mother, Baby?
Yeah.
Standing in the Shadow. But I don't think it appeared on an album until 1989, the London years. That's when I first found it.
No, you're right. But way before that, try to get that No Stone Unturned compilation. That's the one with the David Bailey picture on the cover. Brian's with the trident thing. You find the song there, and also great B-sides like Child of the Moon. I was torn between Who's Driving Your Plane and Child of the Moon, actually. But I said, well, which way to go? Okay, I'm going for Who's Driving Your Plane, which is still a little more obscure than Child of the Moon. By the way, that's my most favorite single ever in music history, Jumping Jack Flash and Child of the Moon. But that's another thing, because how long can we be there for? 12 hours? Yeah. It's not going like that.
Great choice.
Yeah, thank you.
Marcelo, I want to find out more about your life as a Rolling Stones fan. So when did it all start for you, right? When did you know the Rolling Stones were your band?
I was very young at the time. I would say 9 to 10. I'm an only son, and of course there was always music playing at home. My mom and my dad, but they were old-fashioned music, like lots of tango here in Argentina. Well, not here, but where I live. I'm in New Jersey now, and like I went from black and white to Technicolor in a split second. Here's the thing, believe it or not, this is 1977. I wasn't even 10 at the time. I was born in 67. And we had this commercial on TV. It was a Little Richard album. Oh, yeah. How come a Little Richard compilation on TV? This is, between the old yogurt commercial and whatever is there on TV. And the minute I saw this guy, I was reading about music, I was only 9 to 10. And the minute I saw this guy shaking like crazy on screen, I said, and of course that piano, I said, I need to get that album. And at the time, my mom was more like, what do you want for your birthday? You want this sweater? You want this thing? I said, Mom, I want music. So she was the one who was getting me the albums after my request. And of course, from there, I went to the Beatles because everybody was talking about the Beatles. I didn't buy many albums. Like, I had this compilation called Rock and Roll Music, and I had maybe Hub and Hardest Night. And yeah, I liked it, but it wasn't too crazy and wild for me as that Little Richard album I got before the Beatles albums. So it was like a missing piece. And for some reason, I heard about the Rolling Stones at the time, just the name, I was 10. And I got this compilation called 30 Greatest Hits. So I had.
That sounds like an illegal compilation.
Oh, no, it's not. It's not. It was, I think it was it was originally an English compilation. It's 12 piece. And the album, it featured this, the cover of the album cover featured 6 guys, So I used to think,
Ian Stewart?
no, it was Brian and Mick Taylor. And of
Both
course,
of them. Okay.
at the time, I didn't have a map. I didn't know anything about them, not their names, just the names Rolling Stones, but not the names of the members of the band. And if were they English, where do they come from? Where has this thing started? So I got, the Beatles album in one hand, and I got the Rolling Stones album on the other hand. The minute I heard once again Heart of Stone, I said, okay, this is my kind of sound. And that's the path I took. The right hand path, which was the Rolling Stones album. Yeah, I could have kept on playing the Beatles, but it didn't mean too much for me at the time. And the minute I heard Mick's voice on Heart of Stone, I said, this is the kind of sound I'm looking for. And of course, that's when I really started listening to the Rolling Stones. But I needed a map. I needed to read about them. This is 77. So I remember I got this book called, this is a Spanish title, because it was a book from Spain, called El Rock y sus satánicas majestades, which is rock and its satanic majesties, by a very famous rock music writer in Spain at the time, a guy from Catalonia called Jordi Sierra y Fabra. And that's when I get the original map. Oh, it's not 6 of them, it's 5 of them. And one of them had passed. Which of the 2 blonde guys is the one who passed? So that was the original ABC for me. And from there onwards, it was about getting the albums. And once again, a year after that, this is June 78, come my birthday, I'm June the 20th, and Mom says, what do you want for your birthday? Because maybe you like those shoes over there. I said, no, Mom, I want the new Rolling Stones album, because Some Girls had just came out. And in the meantime, I will go to every single record store in Argentina and just buy their albums. This 10-year-old kid, going on Saturday afternoons to the record stores downtown, give me anything by the Rolling Stones, because I was really crazy about that. And then in 1980, my aunt invited me and my cousin for a holiday trip to Brazil. Same thing. Instead of the T-shirts, I would go to record stores and buy all the albums. So pretty much when I went back to Buenos Aires, and this is July 1980, I had everything they already put out, save for the only solo albums they had at the time, but compilations, everything. And I would study the band, like summertime, we didn't have to go to school there. I would spend the afternoons with the old record player by the bed, listening and listening and reading and reading and reading. But I still needed to see how they look, Bob. So I got the information, scars. I got the albums, but what about the way they look? So I would go to this bookstore in downtown Buenos Aires. Too bad I don't have it here. But all-time Stones fans remember this book. There was a book called simply The Rolling Stones. It was the size of LP cover, It was called the Rolling Stones on Tour, and it's pictures by famous photographer Annie Leibovitz, all from the
Mm-hmm.
75 tour, which was called Tour of the Americas. And it was originally
Yeah.
called Tour of the Americas because they were supposed to play in South America and North America. So, you know, like before I got to see pictures of Brian Jones or Mick Taylor, I'm seeing Ronnie and, Billy Preston and Ollie Brown. So, I needed to reassemble the whole map. But, I was a
Yes.
really
Who are these
heavy,
guys?
yeah, I was a really heavy student. So after a year or so, I got the whole thing going. If you know what I mean. Sorry if I went too long, but it's kind of difficult for me to explain. And then, of
Fascinating.
course, I had to wait long time to see them live for the first time. Oh yeah,
When was the first time you saw them live?
it was the kickoff date of the Bull Lounge tour here in America, RFK Stadium, Washington D.C.
1994.
Yeah, August the 1st, 1994. Yeah. Yeah, I was here with a friend, and we spent 4 months and a half on the road here, United States, following the tour in a car. So by the time I got back to Argentina in December that year, I had already seen them 26 times here in America, a Bull Lounge tour. That includes one show in Canada. And then we've been to Brazil, and February 95, we finally had them in Buenos Aires. And the rest is history, as you know. Yeah.
Okay. I've got the set list from August the 1st, 1994.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
27 songs.
What a set list. Oh,
27. Can you imagine that?
I can't because I was there. I don't have to.
Under Cover of the Night was there.
Yeah.
Live With Me.
Yeah. Hot Stuff was there.
Hot Stuff was there, all down the line.
Yeah.
Monkey Man. Keith played The Worst,
Oh,
and Before They Make Me Run.
yeah. That's probably my favorite Kiss song. Yeah. Well, I love them all.
Brand New Car.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Lots of songs from
So,
the Blue Lounge album. Yeah. I Go Wild.
what do you remember about the show? Was
Yeah.
it worth going? Were you disappointed? Was it a great show?
Oh, it was a great show. It was a very hot day. I remember that. August the 1st. This is summertime. And we left the previous night, we left from New York City. And just the night before, we went to this show in Long Island featuring Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley together. Oh, yeah.
Mm.
And I said, well, this sounds like the perfect warm up show for this
Yeah.
thing I've been waiting for how long? All my life? And yeah, they had the Counting Crows opening for them. First two shows, which was RFK in Washington D.C., they had this band. It wasn't a band actually; it was more like a performance called Voodoo Drums of Haiti. So I think they were really from Haiti. They would play all these voodoo drums on stage, and then we had the Counting Crows. That was of the main openers that tour. And I think this went on for the first two shows. When they did, was it Hot Stuff? They had people on stilts dancing along Mick. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't think there's any video from that. But yeah, it was a great show, of course. And so we've been to those two shows in DC in DC, yeah. And then it was Indianapolis, and then we got on the car and followed them all over America for 4 months and a half. Yeah, so it was a great time, and that was my Voodoo Lounge experience. 35 shows altogether, just the Voodoo Lounge tour. Those were the days. Yeah.
That's a seriously big number for one tour.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, right? Did it ever get boring?
What do you mean in the shows?
Yeah. Okay, I know from show to show, they change songs, but it's not like every show is very different to the previous show. They might change 2, 3, 4 songs per show.
Yeah. Well, we were all waiting for that. You know,
That's why you keep going to all the shows. It's like, what are they going to play different this time?
true.
But
And
they
then
don't.
it would always amaze me. And this is not only during the Bull Lounge tour, because I see them in Bridges to Babylon, other tours here too. Now, people going to the bathroom to get beer when Kiss is doing his set. Like, oh, here comes the boring part. Let's get out of here. Let's go back when he's they're ready to go again after Kiss. I don't know. I never got that, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
They don't know what they're missing.
I can listen. Yeah, and I can listen to the War Horses again. Like, oh yeah. And I'm not the only one. I think that many old-time fans will agree. Okay, enough of Start Me Up, enough of Sonny Rock and Roll, enough of Brown Sugar. They took it off the list, and that meant a lot too. That meant a lot too, because he is the guys who are supposed to be politically incorrect. How come they're taking Brown Sugar off the set list after 50 years? The only thing I like about them taking Brown Sugar off the set list is because this was Bobby Kiss' trademark song. So without
Correct.
Bobby, doesn't make sense.
Well, so I did a show. I think it was Dave Cole put forward that theory. That's why they retired Brown Sugar, is because Carl Denson, no disrespect,
Yeah, no disrespect,
didn't have the same sound as Bobby Keys.
Yeah,
he just didn't work as well. So he thinks that's
they already
why.
played it enough with Carl Denson. I don't think that was the thing, actually. But
I think he was saying they did play it with Carl Denson. They've tried it and they've just decided it's not the same. But hey, who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
So how many times have you seen them in total?
Exactly 80 times.
80 times?
Yeah.
Wow. When was the last time?
Not 79, not 81. Oh, my last time Stones was second show at MetLife Stadium here in New Jersey, August the 5th, 2019. And that was a great show. And okay, I then I saw Ronnie. Then I've been to England in late, when was same year, wasn't it? When he did this Chuck Berry tribute thing, the Mad Lad album and all that.
Mm-hmm.
He did 4 shows. I've been to the last 3 shows. That was Shepherd's Bush in London. I loved it. Then Birmingham, and the last one was Manchester. So yeah, that's the last time I see any Stones live. And once again, of course, I would have gone anywhere to see them play again, but without Charlie, it's not working for me that way. So yeah.
That means the last Rolling Stones song that you saw live was Satisfaction.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
Quite appropriate. I can't get no satisfaction.
I can get no satisfaction, yeah. Yeah, so besides those 80 shows by the Stones, I saw Ronnie 3 times. Actually, my very first experience was, once again, the kickoff date of the Main Offender tour. This is November the 7th, 1992. We had Keith and the Winos in Buenos Aires. At the time, it was completely unthinkable we will ever have the Stones play in South America. This is until they announced they were going over South America at the Voodoo Lounge press conference in New York City in '94. Some Mick Taylor, and this is great. I saw. I've been to the only Bill Wyman solo show ever, the 80th anniversary concert at the O2. The Indigo at the O2. With all these great guests like Mark Knopfler and Mick Hucknall was there, and Robert Plant was there, and I'm forgetting all these guys. Imelda May was there, That was some show, yeah, very intimate. And of course, I wanted to see Bill Wyman. Okay, I'd been to the O2 in the first two shows of the 50 and Counting tour. I guess you were there too. Remember, he got on stage for It's Only Rock and Roll and Honky Tonk Women, but that wasn't enough. All right. So yeah,
I was lucky. I actually saw him in 1990
yeah,
on
you were
Bourbon Jungle. Yeah, I was there.
well.
I
I'm
saw his
living
last
in
show.
Argentina. You know, this is like a different planet. Um, so yeah, it was unthinkable at the time. So this pretty much summarizes all my Stones and Stones related shows. Yeah.
So tell me, 80 shows, when you were still going to see them
By the way,
until 2019.
but sorry to interrupt. By the way, I never cared about numbers. You know, like all these people like competing between themselves. Like I see them, you know, I don't know, 28, 85 times. 40. I mean, I know people that maybe they saw the song 3, 4 times, or maybe one time, but they know about the music and history. So that music and history, that's what comes first. And sorry to say, I know people that saw the Stones hundreds of times, not exactly friends of mine, but you know, you read this and you watch this video, and then they don't know shit about their career or music. So, like you say, what about Out of Our Heads? And they will go like, "What is it? A new show on TV?" I said, "No, come on, we're talking about the album Out of Our Heads." I think this is a very trendy internet thing. Like everybody's competing against anybody. What's the goal there? I never got that. So I rather, you know, talk to people who are into their music and lives than, you know, the number of times they saw them or any band, or if they have 85 different editions of Exile on Main Street. I don't, who cares, you know? Yeah,
I know how many times I've seen them. It's 65. And
that's the fun.
I know that because I want to know, what songs have I seen? How many distinct songs have I seen? Because you forget,
Yeah,
and it's good to keep a record.
yeah,
But it's not a competition, as I always say on this show.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I agree.
When you were going to see them, where were you in the crowd? Were you up front? Did you go up in the nosebleeds? Were you Keith's side, Ronnie's side?
I've been everywhere. Yeah, got really lucky. Most of the shows were in the, you know, really close to the stage, or this is before we even had the pit. Yeah, I mean, no preference actually. Yeah, if I had a chance, I would always pick up Kiss 5. Yeah, because I mean, Kiss the guy, you know, Kiss my man. So, but yeah, of course, I will always enjoy being on Ronnie's side. It depends on the place. You know, we people in South America, we don't have a chance to see them in indoor places. So that makes a big difference. When I was following the Stones, you know, Voodoo Lounge tour here in the United States, like I told you before, I had the chance to see them in indoor places, like, I don't know, Indianapolis or whatever, or the O2 in London. So that makes a big difference. Of course, I would have killed to be in one of these more intimate shows, like, you know, Shepherd's Bush of the Paradiso at the time. But, you know, being in South America, so far away from everything, it takes a lot of hard work for us. There's also a lot of money. Wise, it's also difficult for us because
Yeah,
you see
of
all these
course.
people from Brazil and Argentina following them in the States and America, but you got to consider that besides the high price you pay for a ticket, which is kind of crazy nowadays, and accommodation and anything, we still have to, you know, travel from South America.
Yeah, it's an expensive hobby. Marcelo, we cannot talk about live shows and the Rolling Stones without talking about Argentina.
Yeah, thanks for
You know,
that.
by the way, we've set this up especially for you.
Oh, what a great production. Yeah, I loving it. Thank you. Yeah.
But you're talking about it's difficult to come over here. But I think the rest of the world looks to Argentina and thinks,
Yeah.
They've got something amazing going on over there
Yeah.
because the reputation of the crowds at the Argentinian shows is amazing. It's
Yeah.
like some tribal gathering, and we've seen the
Yeah.
videos, and everyone's just going nuts.
Yes, you got that right. Yeah, we're pretty wild there. And this doesn't go only for the Stones. Well, it's a football thing. It's if you know what I mean. It's a football slash soccer thing. We are really passionate, hot blooded, and when it's about the Stones, with all these fans, we've been waiting over 30 years for that to happen. Of course, we can get even wilder, but I think the same in places like Brazil or Germany. But yeah, well, as a matter of fact, last time we had the Stones in Argentina, this is the Olay Tour 2016. It's the first time so many people from Europe and Japan and United States came there for the shows, because yeah, it was it's such a thing. It's really once again, it's a very passionate experience. So yeah,
I count 15 shows in Argentina.
yes, that's true.
Have you seen them all?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The first one was in 95, last one 2016.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we had 5 in 95, 5 in 98, Bridges to Babylon, 2 shows in 2006.
2006.
Yeah, this is right after the Copacabana show, the free show
Yeah.
at Rio.
Yeah.
I was there too. And then we had 3 shows in La Plata. This is 2016, and that was it. Yeah.
Okay. The Rio show, 2006, free show on the beach. Where were you? Were you up front or were you like a mile back?
I got very lucky. I'm very proud to say I was in the press area. Yeah, close, because
Okay.
I'm a journalist, and even when I didn't cover the show for any media at the time, I had a chance to be there. Yeah, just to think, behind me there was over 1 million people.
Crazy.
Yeah, that was some great show. Yeah, what a great experience that was too. And yeah, that was a hot night.
Bad luck if you were at the back.
Bad luck if you were
But
bad. Yeah.
it is time to play your second tune. It's another rarity. Probably won't be very familiar to casual fans.
Yeah, we're going
It
romantic
is.
now.
You're going all romantic on us.
We're all
Well, it
going
is
romantic now. Yeah, heartbreaking.
heartbreaking. It is called Through the Lonely Nights.
Yeah.
Why did you choose this song and what does it mean to you?
Well, this is the B side of the It's Only Rock and Roll single. And for a start, it's very interesting because it wasn't in that album. As a matter of fact, it was recorded in the God's Head Soup sessions, Jamaica, Kingston, 72. With a little touches afterwards in England in 74, the very same year the album came out, but it wasn't in the album anyway. And it's so beautiful. And it's so underrated. Again, this is like Who's Driving Your Plane, but on the sweet side. It's so underrated and it's so beautiful. I can even start telling you how much I love this song. All this great. Okay, that's another great guest on piano. Of course, this is the great Nicky Hopkins. We got Nicky Hopkins playing piano in this beautiful song. And but here's the thing, these crazy Mick Taylor fans, like they will put Taylor above every other era, even above Ronnie, even above Brian Jones. And for me, it's all the same. I love all the 3 eras. Like, they will talk about Sway, they will talk about how good he did in Time Waits for No One, or, Winter. But how come they never mention Through the Lonely Nights, which is probably the sweetest solo he ever done with the band? It's not even a solo, it's like a 8-9 second thing, and he's like, I don't know, this is pure magic. It's pure magic. He's like flying. I don't know how to say it. It's so beautiful, and I guess that more interesting than listening to what my long speeches playing the song. What do you think about it? Well,
Again, I mean, it's a bit like your first song. It was difficult to. I think I only came across it until about maybe 2005, because I think it came out in the Rarities album.
yeah.
So
A little
for
bit,
me, that was new material when it came
a
out.
little earlier than that. I think that's from 2003. Anyway, it doesn't make any difference. Oh, yeah, it was new material because it remains unknown after all these years. And I mean, once again, this is the kind of song you will say, you will ask yourself, how come you never done this live? Here's the other one. Just like I told you before, I was torn between Who's Driving Your Plane and Child of the Moon. This time, I was torn between Through the Lonely Nights and Till the Next Goodbye, which I love so
Oh,
much too. And of
I know
course,
that
that
one.
was never played again. They remains a bit, underrated after all this time too. That's the one that finally made it to the It's Only Rock and Roll album. But this one, well, besides the B-side of the It's Only Rock and Roll single, as you know, we had to wait till it was out in this Rarities compilation, which didn't feature many rarities after all. It was more like of a title. And I will never forgive them for not including Bill Wyman on the cover of the album. Oh, yeah.
Let's listen to Through the Lonely Nights. I'm afraid we do not have a very exciting video. It's a static image. But let's enjoy this one, and then we'll talk about it after. Haha, Marcelo, you've found another one for us. You know what? I was writing down a few things because it's not a song I've been listening to much, I'll be honest. Unlike so many Rolling Stone songs, if you just sit and listen
Yeah,
and concentrate, there's so much going on in the background. There's always these layers and textures that emerge when
yeah,
you concentrate.
yeah,
I
absolutely. I mean,
found
listen to that.
I
This
found
is Mick Taylor playing his part out, and
yeah,
Nicky Hopkins. Uh,
yes.
cannot get any better
I
than
I
that.
heard I heard the Mick Taylor solo. It was round about 1 minute 45.
Yeah,
It's very short. It's only 5 seconds or so.
yeah, yeah.
The Nicky Hopkins bit was just before that. So anyone listening, give it another shot. Put the headphones on and really concentrate. A melancholy song.
It's so beautiful. I had this thing for anything acoustic by the Rolling Stones because whenever you talk, you mention the Rolling Stones, that everybody's thinking of a mainly an electric band. But well, you got the best example of the interplay between the acoustic and electric in songs like Jumping Jack Flash, which I love dearly. But and then, by the way, you just reminded me of this. Here's what I always call like the fifth instrument, and I mean Keith backup vocals. There should be a whole book and documentary done or written about Keith's backup vocals. I mean, even stuff like I don't know, I Am Waiting back to '76 something. I mean, it's great. Oh, no, just to think about Exile on Main Street. That's like an extra instrument. Nobody, the backup vocals by Keith Richards is really something.
Not just Keith, Mick Jagger as well. Mick
Oh yeah,
Jagger always does backup vocals on just about
right.
every song.
Yeah,
And it just adds something that you don't realize it's there until you realize it's there. And then you can't unhear it. And it took me years before I realized what that sound was. And it was Mick Jagger doing his own backup vocals. But yeah, you're right. Keith is in there a lot as well. And he's lovely there too.
yeah, he's lovely there too. So well, that was my second pick, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I do.
Well, I really enjoyed listening to Through the Lonely Nights. Marcelo, thank you so much for bringing that to us. But I want to talk about one of the sites that you do. It is, of course, rollingstonesdata.com. So let me get that up on the screen right now so we can let the viewers, our lovely viewers, see what we're talking about here.
Yeah, they're allowed.
This is it. And there is one section that I really want to speak about. It's called Unreleased because this is like a gold mine. This is the place you go to when you really want to go deep on the Stones because there's so much stuff in here.
Yeah.
So much stuff in here that I have never heard of.
Yeah.
And I've just been slowly working my way through it. And there's so many lovely surprises from all the way back to the 60s up to quite recently. What is your favorite unreleased song in this archive? Do you have one?
Here we go again. Well, once again,
No, just one.
I could have never come up with anything like this without the priceless work of people like our common friend Martin Elliott, or Nico Sengraf in Germany, or Felix Aepli, I think it's in Switzerland, and all these guys. They've been digging all this stuff for years. But if I had to choose one, well, that's another difficult one. I think you had already put me under enough stress with the official songs.
I like doing this to my guests.
Well, I can tell. You're all forgiven because you are such a nice guy, Bob. Okay, here we go. I would say anything from the first 3 to 4 years since the bar started, right? All songs, all those cover songs like the Chicago stuff they did at the time. But if I had to pick one song, and it's got to be, another rarity, a rarity among rarities. Talking about Voodoo Lounge, there is this great song called Honest Man.
Okay,
And this is the kind of song you think to yourself,
let's
how
find it.
come it was never included in Voodoo Lounge, not even as a B-side? Because it sounds so good. I mean, they just can't release the thing the way it is now, the way it was recorded, no extra touches or overdubs, and it still sounds great. So yeah, I will go to for Honest Man, but I don't know. There's so many of them. I don't know. Now they're coming up with all these expanded versions, so maybe we'll get that one in the future. Who knows?
And here's the amazing thing: you can also back it up with a video.
Yeah.
Where do you get all this material from?
Well, here's how it goes. You get the song, it's usually an MP3 song, and then you get this software, and you just, put any image on it, and you make up the video. And in this case, it goes to the YouTube channel, and then you paste the link from the YouTube channel in your website, and that's how it goes. Yeah, takes a lot of work sometimes, but that's what editing, even in a simple way like this, goes like. Yeah.
The editing, that's the easy bit, is getting that MP3 in the first place. That's what I'm impressed with.
Well, we've been collecting all these bootlegs through years, and you know, like I started buying bootlegs before the CD, vinyl, bootleg vinyl with underrated songs, and pretty much all the stuff that came as in the extra edition of Songgirls. We've been, songs like Claudine and all that. We've been having, we old time fans, we already knew the songs from bootlegs. This is vinyl bootlegs. We listened in probably early 80s or something. But once again, they were really hard to get in my country at the time. They only circulated in America, United States, or Europe. So somebody will get a copy, and they will make you a copy on cassette tape, and then you get another copy from that tape, and that's how we got to know music at the time. But here's the thing. That hard part at the time, the harder work is that what really took you to learn about that. It wasn't so easy. It wasn't at the push of a button like nowadays. And there is so much nowadays. And people go like, okay, there is so much. I'm leaving this for some other time. Um, so we were kind of diggers, at the time. And it depends on your level of fandom. I don't know. For me, once I got to know all the official songs, I was always interested in the unreleased stuff. It could be, alternative versions, outtakes, the Stones as guests in other artists' albums. Not so much into the live stuff. I know people who are really into the live stuff, and of course the reading. I was always interested, mostly once again, in music and data, and I'm still collecting magazines and books from the past because it's the history and the facts. The most I'm interested in after all these years. Yeah, it's my hobby. They always been my hobby.
Has the Rolling Stones management ever paid you a visit? Have they knocked on the door and said, take that down?
No, not that I know.
Okay.
I have met some people here and there. Yeah, they were familiar with my work. I've been knowing them for a long time already, but not like, how much we love your work or something. But hopefully, there will come a time then that they will recognize everybody's efforts. Like all these people, all these researchers. Once again, people
Yeah.
like Martin Elliott or Nico in Germany, all the Dutch guys and Japanese guys. I don't know what kind of recognition would that be. I don't know. Maybe just handshake. I don't know, but it's a long story, and we all share the same hobby, and that's a good thing about the internet nowadays because we used to be pen pals. We used to send letters, real letters made of
Yeah.
paper. in the old days, and had to wait till the letter arrived. If it really hit the person you were sending the letter to, and getting the letter back, and we were sending tapes and stuff, and magazines and newspaper clippings and all that. This is the mid '80s. Oh, before I forget, it would be such a pity for me if I ever forget about mentioning the great Bill German. He's such a great friend of mine. And his great work on the Biggest Banquet fanzine, which, according to him, was the very first subscriber from South America back in, I don't know, 86, 87 or something. I just met Bill a few days ago in New York City, and I'll see him again in a couple of weeks now. So,
Can you believe he's my next guest?
Oh, yeah. Actually, he mentioned that. Now that you mentioned that, he told me about that. Well, small world.
Anyone watching this show,
yeah,
Bill German's next.
Yeah, okay. Looking forward to that. Yeah, I love it.
So am I.
Great friend of mine.
But I need to do this one first. Let me ask you another question. Is there one track that you know about that's out there, but you haven't found it yet, and you want to put it on? You don't have access to it. What's missing?
The very first demos they ever recorded, and that's with Tony Chapman on drums. That's Close Together and Soon Forgotten. But nobody ever had access to that Soon Forgotten and Close Together, Jimmy Reed's cover. So yeah, I wish we could have access to that someday. I mean, we don't even know who has those songs, if there's anybody who has those songs after all these years. Yeah.
Well, I hope you get them.
Yeah.
But before we listen to your third and final song, I've got a little surprise quiz for you. It's a test on your own section, on your own website.
Bring it.
I am going to describe 5 songs from the unreleased archive.
Wow.
You need to tell me what the song is. The description for the first one is, this song is one of the most intriguing mysteries in the Rolling Stones' 1960s era. It leans into groove, organ textures, and offbeat rhythm, hinting at roads not taken. This song is a missing fragment from one of the Stones' most adventurous creative movements.
Wow. That's impossible, Bob, because, I've done quite a lot of writing, and it's really impossible to remember every single description. I mean, if you give me the title, of course, that's what you want. I could talk about that song, but trying to remember that because of the description and its unreleased stuff, it gets kind of impossible, I guess. Yeah.
She's doing her thing.
Oh, she's doing her thing. Yeah, all right. Well,
from
it's
Satanic Majesties sessions.
Yeah. So if you give me the song titles, I could talk a bit, Ray-Bon, about them, but not because of the descriptions I wrote myself, because just like you said, there's so much stuff there.
That's not how this show works, Marcelo. I like to put people on the spot. Right, number 2.
Yeah.
The description for this one is, stripping away studio polish, they let spontaneity rule. Keith Richards prowled the piano, vocals growled with grit, and a weeping steel guitar painted the perfect imperfections.
Oh.
And this is a cover song. There's a clue.
Oh. Can I get the year at least?
Yeah.
All right.
1982. I'm doing 5, and there's one from a different decade.
Yeah, this is okay. These are the Undercover sessions, and
yes.
Okay, 82. No way. Thank you.
Crazy Arms.
Crazy Arms. That's another cover version. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I could talk about Jerry Lee Lewis version of Crazy Arms, but it's quite impossible to remember the things I wrote about every single song. Like you said, there are more obscure and unreleased stuff than the very official songs that ever saw the light. So it's kind of difficult. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Okay, we're going back to the 1970s for this one. I'm giving you some help here.
Yeah.
Here is the description. Here is your description. This song, instrumental only, is more than just an unreleased track. It's a sonic snapshot of the Stones between worlds, rehearsing and experimenting during a pivotal moment in their career. It delivers a laid-back shuffle groove driven by whining electric lead guitar and steady, heartfelt piano.
It's 1 in a million. Okay, you should call this section 1 in a million. No. Let me know.
Bluesberry Jam.
Oh, Bluesberry Jam. This is 72. Yeah.
Yes.
Montreux.
Yes.
Yeah, they're rehearsing in Montreux. This is they're warming up for the next US tour. And they're doing stuff like, tumbling dice, and there's some video from that day. Remember this footage?
Yes.
Montreux? Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, I could talk about them if you give me the titles, but not the descriptions I wrote myself. Yeah.
Well, the pain is going to continue, I'm afraid. We've got 2 more to do.
Oh, okay. We're getting there.
We're in the 90s now for this one.
Yeah.
One of the Rolling Stones' most intriguing unreleased songs, a track that drifted between studios, countries, and creative intentions. Written by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, it captures a moment when the band was experimenting freely, testing ideas without pressure to finish every song.
Isn't it from the Voodoo Lounge sessions?
Yes.
Okay. That's half a point. Oh, all right. There's so much stuff that remains unreleased from the Voodoo Lounge sessions. Okay, give me the song title.
Ivy League.
Ivy League, yeah. Yeah, that was hard to remember. I mean, I couldn't even remember the song now. I mean, the sound and the way it sounds. But because, even if you play most of the unreleased stuff, I could get the names, but not because of the descriptions. Okay, we're getting there. I'm used to pain now.
Last one. We're into the 21st century now. This is one of those Rolling Stones tracks that slips under the radar and stays there unless you're really listening. It drifts on a relaxed, hypnotic, Motown-inspired groove that feels warm, unforced, and quietly confident. Jagger and Richards deliver a song that sparkles without trying too hard.
I'm trying too hard. Oh, what year is that from?
2002, from the Lick sessions.
All right, this should be France. Okay, Guillaume Tell. You are better. We are much better than me at French. Guillaume Tell Studios, isn't it?
Guillaume Tell.
Guillaume,
perhaps?
yeah. This will be the Licks sessions, probably.
It is.
I don't know. I can't remember the song titles now.
When I call your name.
When I call your name. When I call your name. Yeah. When I call your name. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that was difficult, Bob.
I'm sorry, but I had fun.
You did.
I'm going to tell you what my favorite track is, so far that I've found on the unreleased section, is Desperate Man.
Oh, Desperate Man, yeah. Yeah.
Where's that one from?
Thanks to the fully finished outtakes bootleg, we got all this. Oh, Desperate Man. What is? I think it's what wasn't it the Bridges to Babylon session?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You see.
Yes. Yes.
Now I'm finally waking up.
Yeah. You've redeemed yourself.
Yeah, I did. Next time,
right.
I promise to be there.
We have got one more song to play.
Yeah, we do.
And again, you've gone for another rarity. Can't wait to listen to this one.
Well, I need a cover version now.
Finally, yeah, we've got another cover version. It is I Can't Quit You, Baby.
Yeah.
Tell us, why did you choose this song and what does it mean to you?
Well, once again, it's a blues song, and it's one of the most classic blues songs. People generally, if you go back in time, this song was first recorded by Otis Rush in the, in the late 50s. But of course, it's mainly remembered because of the version of the take, Led Zeppelin's take on the first album. This is a Willie Dixon song, and he's like the king of the composers, the king of the chess records, king of chess records. And of course, the Stones recorded all these songs by Willie Dixon, things like Little Red Rooster. So it's been a long time since they've done anything by Willie Dixon. But of course, this comes from the Blue and Lonesome album, which once again should have been their last album. This is where the band is coming full circle. Okay, that's my opinion. And forget about Eric Clapton on guitar. He's doing a great job here. But I don't know. I think this is one of Jagger's finest vocal performances ever. I mean, he should have been given a Grammy for this. He's so good at this. No surprise, he chose this song as the last song in the album. And I mean, he's so great. The whole band is really tight here. Pretty much like the whole. I remember you telling me you hadn't paid too much attention to this album, right?
Yeah, it's true.
And now, like, you are really getting into it.
It's true. Yeah.
How is it going so far?
The first time I listened to it properly, end to end, was only maybe 4 months ago.
Oh, all right.
It took me 10 years.
Yeah.
And there's so much little magic in there. I think it's a criminal shame that they only played 3 tracks from this on the tour.
Yeah.
And even one of those tracks, I think they only played it twice. I was lucky I saw all 3 of those songs live, but yeah, there's so much great stuff they could have gone with. Even better than the stuff they did go with. Ride 'Em On Down was okay, but anyway, let's listen to it, and we'll talk about it again after.
I don't think it's because this is still a new song. I mean, this came out in 2016, but once again, it's one of Mick's best vocal performances ever. He's really wild and crazy. By the way, one thing about Blue and Lonesome, I always say to myself, how come there is no video of the guys recording this album? Just to watch them playing, going back to their very early roots, like they've never done before. And what about?
It would be great to see that, wouldn't it?
Would be great to see that, and also a full show on video. Just playing blues songs. That's the way I would have liked them to, finish their career. This is besides the Hackney Diamonds we discussed before, which, by the way, took them longer than it took you to listen to Blue and Lonesome. So yeah, let's play the song and enjoy it. Will you?
Can't Quit You, Baby. Yeah, boys, very good. I think they like that one at the end.
Yeah.
You can just hear them talking to each other.
True. Yeah, quite good, isn't it? Like
Mick's
the album.
vocal performance. Wow, you're
Wow, wow.
right.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
it
yeah.
was amazing.
This is the Mick we want. Not the angry that makes us angry, but the album got a Grammy for blues albums, but he should have given they should have given him a separate Grammy for his great, amazing, unbelievable, underrated vocal performance in this song that's closing the album, and it's one of my favorite albums.
If the Rolling Stones were ever to ask you, hey, Marcelo, tell us one thing we could have done differently, what would it be? What would you tell them? Maybe it's something that's been bugging you about them.
Well, going back to that, just saying thanks and goodbye after Charlie's passing.
Okay, so it's that.
Because
Yeah.
I'm good with every ups and downs they've been having ever since they started as a band. Like, we all have ups and downs, and their ups and downs made them what they are. This is the ultimate rock and roll band ever. And but that's one thing. That's one thing that really let me down. As hard as that can sound, kind of, they would understand me, and some other people will agree with me too. But here's the thing: fans, most of the fans, and this is not only about the Stones, but any old-time fans, they used to be kind of stubborn sometimes. Once again, I remember this quote by Mick. I guess it's from the early 2000s or something, and he says anyway he says, people want you to be like you were in '69. Otherwise, their youth goes with it. It's very selfish, but it's very understandable. And these were his very words because I remember the quote, and it means a lot. And that's probably the reason why they still want them to go on and on and on and on because like they own them, like we're paying for this, like we want you to be on stage at 82, like when you were in '69. We cannot even be standing up for half an hour. We're paying for very expensive seats, so it's kind of contradictory. And so that would be the only thing. Otherwise, I'm thankful, so much thankful for providing the soundtrack to my life and all these memories, because pretty much everything I went through in my life, good or bad, the Rolling Stones were there, and they will always be there, and all these great friends we've been making, in the run. Yeah. But that would be the only thing, Bob. I'm good with the rest.
Good with the rest. I'll take that.
Yeah.
What has been the highlight of your life as a Rolling Stones fan?
It still is. It still is. And it's every time, once again, every time I play one of their songs, or whenever I saw them live, my whole life is passing by, so there's my family, because I lost my family. Mom is gone a few years ago, and everything. I get so emotional. I don't know. uh I can't imagine my life without the Stones. It's I remember this quote by Keith. He was asked about rock and roll, and he said, music from the neck downwards. Yeah. So that pretty much summarizes the whole thing. And going back in time, if you ask me at 9 to 10, you know that in 50 years time you were still listening to this one. I said, what you talking about? You need to be put in a mental hospital or anything like that. What you talking about? Yeah, this is how it goes. And and they opened up all these doors to me. And here's one thing about the Stones. You ask me which will be my favorite highlight concerning me and the Stones. And here's the thing. about them, and this is besides their songs, but they've been like the main ambassadors of all these great artists. We don't know if we would have ever discovered without the Stones, and I think that is even as important, or sometimes even more important than their own career. People don't realize how important they are, culture-wise, through the years, to having these like five guys from England, like Bill Wyman used to say, five white guys from England, crazy about the blues coming from the other side of the ocean. And in the beginning, they were only wanted to introduce people to the music they loved. I don't think they really wanted to form a band, become famous, a millionaire. And so we really need to thank them big time for all they did ever since. Except for that little thing after Charlie's passing. But once again, we had such a great background to enjoy it forever. Oh, yeah.
They still gave us it so that we then had the choice to decide whether we liked it or not. So you've got to give them that.
Oh, yeah. I get that. Definitely. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Did the Rolling Stones change your life?
That's hard to tell, but good music definitely makes us better people, better persons. Oh, yeah. Because if you think about it, it's the only art form that can go through a wall. And it's that art form that
I've never heard that expression before. That's a nice one.
Ask your neighbors.
It's true. Oh, yeah, I know. This is what I'm thinking.
All right. So, and if it happens to be your favorite artist, and here's another thing, everything's so timeless. I like, history-wise, I can tell you that there is a song from 64, 79, back to 72, 88, whatever. But the fact of listening to a song that came out originally 50 years ago, or even more than that, and still you feel still it's fresh and it's still rocking your bones, if you know what I mean. You get this jolt of pleasure all the time. It's really priceless. So in that way, it's more than words can say. So I don't need what to say. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Yeah.
No, that's perfect. Perfect answer.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
On the show, before I say goodbye to my guests, I always ask them to leave a donation to the Virtual Room 1009 Museum.
Yeah.
Marcelo, it is your time to put something in our vault. What would you like to offer?
Okay, here's the thing. As you know, I'm not home. If I was home, I would have all this stuff to show you. But so, I was going through my friends' stuff here, and I happened to come across this great book. I guess that most of the all-time fans are familiar with. This one came out in '72. This is the unauthorized biography in words, photographs, and music by author David Alton, this is one of the most classic books ever written about the Stones. And look at this. It's full of pictures, and yeah, this is a great writing. And once again, any old-time fan will really love this piece of memorabilia, because there is so much stuff going around nowadays. But and this came out at the same time the Exile album came out, so I think this makes it a good virtual addition to your museum. All right, I hope
it
so.
Definitely does. Thank you very much to your hosts in New Jersey for giving me a virtual gift.
Okay, oh, no, thank you. I mean, this is, you don't see a book with only Mick Jagger and Bill Wyman on cover, just the two of them. That makes it even more special.
Yeah, that's unusual.
Yeah. But it was my pleasure, Bob, talking to you. I'm sorry if I went too long about this and that, but just to think, it's not my original language, and it takes, extra fuel and all the things you've been asking me about. Hopefully next time I will score more points. We're trying to remember the things I wrote concerning unreleased. Yeah. That was particularly bad.
No, thank you very much, Marcelo. There's
thanks, my friend.
nothing to apologize for. It's all been fantastic. We've loved hearing every word of it.
Oh, anytime.
Do you have a message for the Rolling Stones fan community?
Yeah, stay there. Never change your band for anything in the world, because you will regret it forever, and that's not a good feeling, I tell you. Yeah.
On that note, Marcelo, thank you very much for being a guest in Room 1009. Take care. It doesn't seem like I'm going to see you at any Rolling Stones concert anytime soon, but who knows? Maybe we'll find each other on the road some other way.
Yeah, we can still get together next time I visit England. I haven't been there in 6 years, so maybe,
That would be great.
If you're up for, a glass of wine or beer, or, a pint, or, even a glass of milk, I'll be there. It's so nice talking to you. Yeah.
We'll do it.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego. Cheers, my friend.